ND MIATA 5-year review. So I bought this car from one owner, so I'm the second owner, in 2019, and it had roughly 5,000 kilometers on it. And now it's sitting at 52,000. So I've almost put 50,000 on it. And I use it as my main vehicle, right? Like it's my daily. It's actually surprisingly good on fuel. It gets 6.4 liters per 100 kilometers. And yes, it takes 91, but it's gets roughly 650 kilometers per tank. And yeah, I've tried to put the 93 in it, but for some reason it doesn't seem to like it. It runs a little bit rich, I find, if I put 93. So yeah, I just put the 91 Shell, because Shell has that active, injector cleaner, extra injector cleaner. So I like to put the Shell in it, and supposedly it's the best fuel. So I like to put that in it, especially because it's direct injection. So I don't really want to have to clean those injectors and just have the gas clean it. Yes, the car is dirty, but I will wash it, don't worry. So let's talk about the things that have gone wrong and what I've fixed. Actually, first, yes, I said this is my main vehicle, and it is. It's my daily. But I also have my truck. And before that, I had a Honda Element. So it's pretty hard to have a Miata as your number one car. It really is. That's the truth. Just because, it's 2 seats, it's quite small, doesn't haul much, you can't fit much in the trunk. If you have something large, it is a little bit more cumbersome. It really is. That being said, the trunk is quite large. Like, it's, for such a little car, there's a lot of space in there. Like, it's quite deep. You can fit quite a bit in here. It is quite surprising. If you've watched my other videos, you've seen that my wife fits in the back of here. Alright, what has gone wrong? So some wear and tear bits. Seatbelt, little sticker safety thing is frayed just from over time. Cosmetically, the seats are fine and still look quite new. I have taken pretty good care of them, with a leather cleaner, a conditioner, and then just like a suede cleaner for the Alcantara. But I haven't really done too much, really. So they've held up quite well. Right here in the corner, this is where I often accidentally hit with my shoe or whatever. So there's a little bit of scratches there. But, that's fine. This machined metal gets quite scratched up. But that's pretty hard to avoid. But all the other materials have held up quite well. This is a 2016. First year of the ND. This visor has become a little bit loose, I've found, and it kind of rattles, like under bumps and stuff. And overall, like there is creaks and rattles, especially when it's cold. I find over here, this tends to rattle quite a bit. It's plastic when it's cold. But to be expected, right? All these bits Mazda puts in because it's light, you know. And this rattles a lot when it's cold. And the cup holder. But to be expected again. I don't mind that. The convertible top has started to fray a little bit at a couple pinch points. And I often do clean this, and then I'll use a soft top protectant, like rag top or fabric guard. And right here, it started to fray. Again, it's kind of to be expected with a soft top. And I often have this down. So the wind's hitting in here. Maybe that's causing some wear, but yeah. You can see a little bit of wear here. That's on the ends. Nothing major. Let's check in here. Same, but yeah, it's fine. Alright, one of the biggest things that has gone wrong is the infotainment system. Just start her up. So yeah, this crashes quite a bit, but it hasn't stopped working. It'll load and then it'll just crash and then reload. Let's see if it happens here. But everything will play normally. And then it'll just crash. It's not going to do it now that's on camera, obviously. But yeah, that's one thing. And I've read that it's a common thing with this head unit to crash. Oh, there it is. See? I'm glad it did it on camera. So it'll do that, and sometimes it'll just go like fuzzy as well. And I haven't turned the car off. It's idling here. But yeah, that's like the biggest, I guess, maintenance or thing that's kind of broke. You know, hasn't broke because it still works. It just intermittently crashes. Let's see how many kilometers we're at here. Yeah, almost 52,000. And fuel, you want to know more than just range on your fuel, you hit info. Took me a while to figure this out thanks to a comment. And then yeah, there's my fuel economy, 6.4. It's very good. The things I've replaced, other than, you know, oil changes and all that kind of stuff, or maintenance items that I've done. So, air filter replaced, very easy. a lot of fluids I've done too. I've done brake fluid, the rear differential fluid I've changed, transmission fluid I've changed that. So I've heard the early gen NDs have an issue with second gear if you slam it into second a lot, or like autocross it. Second gear can grind and can blow. So I wanted to replace that oil in case it does, to help it out a little bit. But I haven't had any issue with second gear at all. And I do drive this quite hard from time to time. I'm not constantly racing this thing. I just use it as a normal daily, right? But yeah, it's been very good. And everything looks fine. No issues. This is from my amp in the back, if you're wondering. That's not stock. Could use a little clean, but doesn't hurt anything. I think the next thing to replace might be spark plugs. It's around that 5-year mark, 4 or 5 year mark, and these kilometers. But I'll wait until it starts misfiring before I spend money on that. One new thing I've kind of started hearing and noticing, I can't really see it, is when I'm turning the wheels, like when the wheels are under load and like in a parking lot, and like turning slow and reversing into a spot type thing if I'm parking, I hear like a click noise coming from the front, from the wheels, suspension. I think it might be tie rods starting to go. If I can, during the driving portion, if I can get it to make the noise, I will. I am noticing something strange right now, actually. It's just the paint wear. If that'll focus. The paint's kind of worn onto weather stripping. You can tell. Yeah. The overall paint quality on this car is terrible. It's very thin. And over here too. Interesting. It's fine. But yeah, I've put full PPF on the front, and my next Miata, I'll just put PPF on the whole thing, because it scratches really easily, and rock chips galore. Just thinking to myself here, the click could be stabilizer links too that are starting to go. I do need a new windshield, but both major cracks are on the passenger side, so it doesn't really obscure my vision. And it's roughly $1,800 to get a new windshield put in. I will go through insurance, but then there's deductible and all that hassle. It's mostly really expensive because they have to use the OEM one, and because of the rain sensor here that I actually don't even have activated. I've turned that off. But all in all, nothing's really gone wrong with this car. Just the normal maintenance stuff. It is starting to show its age a little bit. 2016. With like the squeaks and rattles and such. But I knew that getting into it. But yeah, nothing yet anyways. Mechanically, I haven't replaced anything. Alright. So, I've used this as my daily. And it is a fantastic daily. Getting back and forth to work. Like I've said before, it's fantastic on fuel. And yes, it's premium fuel, 91. But even with that, it's still fantastic on fuel. And it's so fun to, like, I like to drive with cruise control. So I'll do 109, 110, like 10 over on the highway, and just keep the cruise control on. And then if there's any traffic, because this is so nimble and small, you can just weave in and out of traffic, right? And because it's very, small, and it looks really agile, because it is, but people don't seem to really care if you cut them off, for example. Not that I'm cutting everyone off constantly, but when I have, it's people don't honk. I've never been honked out of this car because it's unoffensive. No one's offended by this car. They see it. They see my small spoiler in the back. They laugh. Right? Like when I had my Civic, so I had an 8th gen Civic Si, and it had. Oh Jesus! I should have secured that better. My bad. Alright, we're back. Yes, sorry about that malfunction. I'm not going here. Come on, take off again. Let's see if the camera falls again. So yeah, like I was saying, it's great to drive back and forth to work, and when you're driving spiritedly, people don't seem to mind. Like with my Civic, it was really loud, first of all, and I would cut someone off, or I'd be driving a little bit faster than normal, and people, they would honk or throw their hands in the air or give me the finger or whatever. You know how people, as soon as you cross the line a little bit, or you might pass where the line isn't dotted, right? People love to be like, "What are you doing?" But in the Miata, people don't do that. They don't mind. They're like, "Yeah, okay, that looks like a capable car. Makes sense. Makes sense that why he's driving so quickly," and So yeah. Also, this is a bright red little sports car, but police don't bother me. Now I'm not speeding, because I don't like to pay for speeding tickets, and it's a pain in the butt. But yeah, I've never been pulled over in this car, and police see it, and they don't target it, unlike my Civic. As soon as you see a super top Civic, police always target that. So that's a bonus, absolutely. Sorry, it's quite windy today, but it's fine. And yeah, this will give you a good understanding of the soft top and how loud it is on the highway. It's fine. Like I don't mind it. But if you weren't aware of that, it is quite loud.
driven a lot of fast cars, you know, where even my wife's Lexus, for example, you're doing 140 and you feel like you're doing 80, right? That's cool, but that's how you get speeding tickets, really. I don't know why it's so trafficy today. It's quite interesting. Oh yeah, it's so much fun to drive. You know, if you have a bad day at work, you know, then I get in this at the end of the work day, like it's so much fun. It puts a smile on my face every time I drive it. You know, it's so good. It's so nimble, and it has enough power. You know, yes, the ND1 it has less power than ND2, but it has more low-end torque than an ND2. You know, and you don't really notice that extra power with the ND2 until you're revving it like a lot higher. But this is a bad day to do the driving portion of this because it's so windy. But I mean, I guess it's good to show, you know, what it could sound like on an extremely windy day on the highway. You know, it's real life, what it sounds like, right? And yes, you hear a little bit of whistling sometimes from the seals. Depends on how the wind hits it. Depends on the day, depends on the weather. But yeah, but it's to be expected. Like, everything is very, very light, right? All right, back on the road. So I gotta talk about what happens when I'm driving my Miata and I see another Miata. Instantly, you gotta wave, thumbs up, you know, and it doesn't matter if it's an NA, NC, you know, whatever it is, modified, non-modified Miata, everyone waves. And everyone's like, yo man, you know, from young to old. And that's what's really interesting about the whole Miata scene, is it's really old people and women and men, and then young people as well. You know, I had a Honda Element before I bought my Tacoma, and I really wanted to keep it, but I couldn't do the 3-car thing. It was getting a little too crazy. But yeah, I'd see another Element. Of course, you wave, but they're all the same kind of people. You know, younger and adventurous, camping, that kind of thing. I shouldn't say all. There is some older people too with Elements because they're reliable, they're good on gas, and they're easy to get in and out of. But for the most part, it was people like camping and road tripping, and, you know, doing that, all that kind of stuff. The Element's perfect for. But with the Miata, it's everyone from, you know, young to old people, you know, and it's such a cool scene to be in, you know. But yeah, I really enjoyed this car, and if you can swing it, definitely go for a Miata, because it's so cool. It's an interesting car over here. We zoom in. So someone took a VW and cut the back off to make it a little Scirocco. Huh. That's cool. Good for them. Or that could be one of those cars from Mexico. You know, Volkswagen sells those cars in Mexico. Huh. That's interesting. But yeah, anyways, even the NC, I know it's bigger, it's fatter, it's uglier, but they're still good cars. And really, the best Miata, in my opinion, for the money, is the NB. It's cheaper and newer than the NA. Yes, it doesn't have the pop-up headlights, whatever, but you can get them for 10 grand, like a good one for 10 grand. You know, and then if you're looking at ND won all the way because they're so much cheaper, and you're really not noticing the lack of power. It still has enough power. You know, unless you're racing and autocrossing and you know, racing people, which, you know, this car is not. It does that. It does it well, but it's a great daily too. It's super fun. All right, let's talk about the clutch and the gear shifter and how it feels. Like driving in, say, stop and go traffic, which I do from time to time. It's heavy enough. It's not too heavy. It has a good feel, but the clutch is on the heavier side. So, you know, if you're doing like a stop and go for like an hour, it gets annoying, of course. But really, any manual and stop and go, you know, it gets annoying. So if you live in Toronto, you know, or any other bigger city where your commute is a lot of traffic, stop and go, well, yeah, that's some of the stuff that you have to deal with the manual, you know. But yeah, the shifter is amazing. The whole feel of the gear shifter, the clutch, everything is so cool. I love how the gear shifter is directly mounted into the transmission, so you feel everything. It shifts as good, if not better, than my Civic did. And that the 8th Gen SI, you know, has a very good transmission. All Honda performance vehicles have extremely good transmissions. And yeah, the ND's is fantastic. I absolutely love it. And really, yes, they make it automatic, the Miata. Sure, you know, go for it, but man, like you really got to get the manual. You know, it gives you so much more control. It's just, it is so much more fun. It really is. But if you can't drive manually, you don't never want to drive manually, you know, it's fine. They're really cool cars. You know? Alright. So this has electric power steering. It's not hydraulic power steering. I guess one benefit, you don't have to, you know, replace the fluid. But usually electric power steering is very numb and there's no feedback at all, and it's just very, you know, whenever I think of a stereotypical electric power steering, I think of a Hyundai or Kia. If you ever driven a Hyundai or Kia, that numb feeling of disconnectedness, and it's just the worst, right? But thankfully, Mazda, they're quite smart. The steering is fantastic. The only time that I can somewhat tell that it's electric or like there's something weird going on is when I make tiny little adjustments. It's I don't know. There's like a haptic feedback. This is the wrong word. But yeah, it's fine. Let's see if this guy lets me in. Oh yeah. Yeah, another thing with the Miata, like, people, you know, because it's small, doesn't get in their way, they let you in. They don't mind. And because it's so small, for parking, actually, as I say, it's really easy to park, but it's actually not. I often, so I like to back into my parking spots. That way I can, when I start the car, when I go to leave, I can leave right away. It's just more efficient, and that's how I do it. But I often park this car sideways because it is so small, so any minute little adjustments are, a lot. So yeah, I think I've parked well, and I get out, and yeah, I'm sideways. But yeah, it doesn't have a backup camera. It's one thing, which is fine. But because of my Tacoma, I've kind of grown accustomed to the backup camera, where it is very nice to see like that extra couple feet when you're backing up to something, to see how much further you have. Because it's so short, and the back is quite small too. It's hard to judge, where the back bumper is when you're backing up. So sometimes I park too far forward, or maybe I'll go a little bit too far back. So a backup camera, it would be nice, but adds more weight, right? There's another rock chip. Yeah, another thing. If you're gonna have this as your daily, you gotta be okay. Or any car, drive your cars, people. The people that have, Porsches or other cars, yes, baby your vehicle, but enjoy them, right? Scratches, rock chips. You can't always avoid this. You can do your best, but sometimes that stuff is unavoidable, and you just gotta enjoy it, right? So yeah, put your PPF, paint protection film on your cars if you want, ceramic coating, all that stuff. Do whatever you can to eliminate, damage, but that stuff's gonna happen, especially here in Alberta. But yeah, this thing is so much fun, especially with the top down. I don't have the top down right now because it's quite cold. It's super windy. But yeah, I usually, around 17, 18 degrees, I usually have the top down. Because why not? It's so easy to go down, and if it starts raining, I just put it back up. I can put the top down and up whenever I want. I usually like to do it around 40 kilometers though. That way the wind doesn't catch it, and breaks hinges and that kind of stuff. And yeah, I've put the top down several times, and there's nothing wrong with it. So everything's holding up quite well, for the most part. Let's talk about space in here. So yes, it's a small quarters, but as long as you're 6 foot or under, you have ample room. You really do. I can still put the seat back much further. I'm 5'9", and for the passenger, yes, you have the little hump from the transmission at the footwell, so there's less room there. But no, it's enough room. But it is a small cabin. It really is. But it doesn't feel cramped, But because it's a small cabin, it does cool down and heat up very quickly. So in the winter, it heats up very quickly. looked at some of the flying Miata stuff, and you know, all the little add-ons, and it is tempting, but and I enjoy it, you know, with it just being stock. Like it's a great stock vehicle. A lot of people, they put a little different springs on it, so it doesn't lean as much in the corners. But I don't mind a little bit of lean. It, you know, I haven't really found the limit of it yet. Yes, I've had it sideways and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's great. But if you have a family and you're looking for, you know, one car that does everything, Miata doesn't do everything. It's not a everything car. But if you want to smoke 3 cars quite easily, it's quite, I really gotta secure that. Alright. On that note, I think I should end the video. Oh, I can, yeah.
Alright, back in the garage. So, I gotta say, it's usually not that loud and not that windy on the highway. But it's a good test, right? So you can see how loud it can be on the highway. But overall, if you have the means, definitely buy a Miata. They are, like, this is my favorite car I've ever owned, by far. They're so much fun. So much fun. One negative I kind of want to talk about, though, that I didn't talk about during the driving portion, is if you're on a long trip on the highway, say you're doing 120, and a little bit of wind or a semi or a big truck goes past you, it can get a little scary because sometimes they don't see you because you're so small, and because you're so light, you know, when that big semi goes past you, you really feel it, and you do get kind of pushed around a little bit, and especially in the winter. And the winter is the most scary because this car can get a little squirrely when it gets slippery. But other than that, you know, again, it's light, and that's why it's fun. But when it's light, you're gonna get pushed around, and you're gonna feel it on the highway. Pros and cons for everything. No car is perfect, right? That's why you buy several cars. That's why I bought this car, right? This car does stuff that this car can't do. So, if I could, I might actually buy another car. Anyways, I'm rambling, so I'm going to end it. Peace.